So I just received these two models from like 3 days ago, and I normally don't do videos so soon after I've received something, but I was so impressed by these that I felt compelled to do videos and showcase them and encourage people to go out and get them for themselves before they are sold out and before it's too late. So these two models were just released relatively recently. I don't know the exact date because work has basically been keeping me so distracted that I can't really follow things so closely. But these are relatively recent releases, so sometime within the past couple of months, these came out. They caught my eye recently. I had to sell something to fund them because they're not cheap. But wow, I am just so impressed by the both of these. So I don't even know where to start. I think I'll start with this one. So this is the Wee Knives Attor. This is one of several different variants they have, but this is the one that was most attractive to me. And really, before I say anything, I just want you to look at it. So obviously this is an integral. So in other words, the handle is constructed of just a single piece of titanium. And it is beautifully finished. It's you can see the texture on it. I guess you'd call it like a wire wheel finish. It's not quite what I guess I would call an orange peel, but nevertheless, it looks really good. It's really, really finely finished and very evenly finished as well. And obviously, I think as you can see from, hopefully the camera does it justice, just beautifully contoured. We have these polished blue anodized pivot collars. The thumb studs, which also act as blade stops, have the same finish. The pivot screw on the rear end there is, or the lock side rather, is polished. On the show side, it's that branding that they typically do, which I'm okay with because I'd rather have it there than on the blade. Pocket clip is machined, but it looks like a stamped clip. As you can see, it is machined. It works very well. It looks like it might be kind of protruding a bit, but it actually feels fine in hand. And obviously it's not a flipper, so it is either going to be deployed by a thumb stud or by a reverse flick like I just did there. Blade. Shape, because you can see there actually is a transition there. I don't know if you would call it a tanto, but this actually has a slight sweep to it, so I guess it's technically almost like a clip point. But again, it's got that same kind of polished bead blast finish, which looks really nice on the blade. And I have to say it's not an overly thick blade stock. I haven't measured it, so I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not like one of these ridiculous 160 thousandths, which we see a lot, and then you end up with something that's kind of too thick to work well for cutting. Sometimes it's cool, but not great functionally. And it comes down to not a super thin edge, but a reasonably thin edge, which is something I like. You see they did put in a sharpening choil here, which I appreciate. So you don't get like an awkward transition into, what am I looking for here? The stock back here when you sharpen it. Although I think I would prefer if that choil was a little bit bigger. And the super solid lockup. Perfectly centered. Great action. It is very smooth. The detent is tuned just perfectly so that it works well for both the thumb stud deployment, a reverse flick, a slow roll. It's just right. And I'm almost like speechless. I don't know what to say. I'm so impressed by this. And I think that this particular version, these run like something like $380, so they're not cheap. But that being said, it feels like a much more expensive knife in terms of the fit and finish, the quality, the solidity. Everything about this just seems to be done so well. I'm going to take a second and look at this other one. This is called the Ezinta. To me, this actually looks like a Peter Recenti design. I don't know if it actually is or not. I have not done the research into, the Wii website or anything, so I don't know if this was designed by Peter Recenti or not, or if it just looks similar to one of his designs. But again, looking at this one, you can see it is another titanium integral handle. It has the same type of finish on it. And again, this comes in different variants, so if you prefer, different finishes, coatings, whatever, they do have other ones. Similarly, it doesn't have the Wii branding on the pivot side on this particular model, but it does also have the polished blue collar. It has these, I guess, what do you call them, speed holes, or these cutouts that I guess help to reduce weight. But they are finished on the chamfer there with some additional anodizing. Looks really nice. On the back end of the handle, there is some, I don't know what you call these, just little machined features that are also anodized. They actually do also provide a little bit of texture, so if you have your hand further back on the handle, you can actually get that for some extra grip. Lanyard hole back there. Machined clip. There's your branding on this model. Again, looks really nice here on the pocket clip. It's subtle. I'd rather have it here than on the blade. Also anodized in that same blue. This one does have a thicker blade stock. It is actually a much chunkier knife overall than the one we just looked at, than the Attor. Ooh, I just hit the camera, or the stand rather. I have to get a different camera stand that holds the camera actually a little higher off of the table here. So, see, this one is a I guess more of a standard type of blade shape. It's a clip point. Same finish actually as the other one. This one, again, it is thicker. It is a little thicker behind the edge, but not too thick. I would prefer a thinner edge, but again, it's not bad at all, actually. Nice generous sharpening choil on that. Have to say, that's something that Wii always gets right. They always get their blades right. They always keep all that unnecessary branding off the blade. They always have really good edges. They always clear the plunge on the grind so that you're not running into that extra material when you're sharpening. I really appreciate. Technically, they always get that part right. This one, okay, so I tend to go off on tangents, you'll notice. Super duper impressive action. It is really smooth. It drops shut. Just like the Attor model we just looked at. The feeling of quality on this is, I think, really exceeds the price point. The pricing in this is similar to the Attor. I don't remember the exact cost, but between the two of these are both in the $350 to $400 range. So they're not cheap. Again, I had to sell something else to buy these, but I'm just blown away by the feeling of quality on this. The level of the finishing, the way everything fits together, the solidity, the action, everything is just so perfectly done on this, and I'm so impressed. I have to say, I've got a fairly large collection at this point. I've got something like 60 folding knives. I try not to get it much larger than that. I'm at a point now where I don't really have space for more, so if I want to buy something new, I have to sell something else. Out of everything I have, and I do have a decent amount of premium ones. The only stuff in my collection that feels more special or higher quality than this are the two Shiragorovs that I own, and those are $1,000+ knives. I'm just so blown away by WE knives at the moment. I dare I say, I think that they've kind of, based on these two on the table now, I would say that they've actually surpassed all of the other high-end Chinese manufacturers in terms of what they're able to put out compared to the Riat manufactured knives that I have, the Kunwus, the Maxaces, the Reichs. I am more impressed by these at the same price point. And I think I'm starting to become like a real WE Knives fanboy, to be honest. So again, this is obviously not like a review of these knives because I've only had them for a couple of days. I've carried this. It carries very well, deploys well, works well. In terms of a review, I would have, I think, nothing negative to say about it. This other one here, I have not carried yet. It is a much larger, chunkier knife. And I think they look similar in size when they're next to each other, but this one is much slimmer, both in terms of carry and in hand. This one it's a much heavier, chunkier knife, but it actually feels very good in hand because the handle is so wide, it fills the hand. It feels really nice when you're actually holding it. But if you don't like a heavy knife in the pocket, you're probably not going to like this. But again, I'm not trying to highlight the the virtues of carrying these. I just really wanted to highlight how well done they are, how impressive the level of quality is for these. And I really, again, like I said at the start of the video, I wanted to get this out because for whoever's watching that might be interested in these, I really would encourage you to try to pick them up as soon as you can before they sell out, before they are gone. Because then at that point, you're going to just be at the mercy of waiting for someone to maybe post one for sale. And you never know what kind of condition they'll be in or what kind of pricing they're going to hit you with. So, yeah, really highly recommend both of these and just WE knives in general. There's a point I forgot to bring up. So I had sent this guy out to my friend, again, EDC Knife Noob. He has his own channel. And I was texting him about it. And he was saying that he was really just kind of blown away by the feel, like the premium quality and feel of the knife. And as someone, because he kind of collects in a different way than I do. I like to collect this kind of stuff, and he's more about collecting things that are really more intended for as like budget users. But so he doesn't look into this kind of stuff as much. And again, so this is similar to these in terms of like the types of materials. So this is a Riat made knife. This is a Liangma GSD. And this is a gorgeous knife. It, as you can see, really nicely finished. Has the hand rub satin blade. Has a similar kind of wire wheel finish on the titanium, carbon fiber inlays. This is another knife that's actually very impressive. Feels really good in the hand, has a great blade shape. It's actually really thin behind the edge, which I love. So it cuts like a laser. So anyway, what he was saying to me is he was just like really blown away by the feeling of quality and how premium it just felt in the hand for him. And that's how I felt when I first took these out of the box. I was like just so blown away and feel super impressed. And these to me feel like they're a step up from this level of quality. Again, this is a Riat made knife. This was actually even more expensive than these are, but I believe that's because these were being sold by Liangma directly through his site rather than through the typical retailers like Blade HQ or Knife Center or whoever you like to use. And so, I mean, it was his product. He was selling it at his price. Good for him. Guys got to make a living. I fully support that. These might have possibly been a little bit cheaper if they had been sold through, one of those other retailers. But again, I think that's one of the things that we all kind of go through as collectors, is that we all kind of start off somewhere, and then we kind of progressively move into a direction that kind of makes us most happy. And so for me, I started off, well, when I was younger, I didn't really have funds, but I was starting off getting stuff that was like $50 and less. And the first time I had purchased something that was, I guess what you considered more premium, like in the $200 price range, I was just like, wow, like I'm not spending any more money on anything that is less impressive than this. I'd rather buy, save my money and buy, one $200 knife than four $50 knives. Okay. And I think the next step I had beyond that was like several years past that, as my career was progressing, I had a little bit more money, I picked up a Sebenza. And this is going back like, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, 12 years ago, even more. Before, I guess, we were having this really proliferation of high-end knife brands and companies. And I was so impressed by that Sebenza. Kind of the same thing happened. I was like, okay, I would much rather focus my funds on collecting, I would rather have one really awesome $500 knife than 10 mediocre $50 knives. Right? I think we all have those moments where we take a step up, or we go in a different direction, and we go, okay, this is what I want to do. And I got that same feeling when I unboxed these two. I was just so impressed by them. I was like, okay, this is on a different level. I want more of this. But the great thing about them is that these were not $1,000 knives. These are, $350-ish knives. But they had the feeling of getting that like $1,000 knife. And I really hope that we continues to improve in that sense, because I think that's just great for someone like me who collects, but they're on a budget, and to be able to get something that just feels really special, and more special than other things at the same price point. That's great. So again, if you think that these look cool, I really encourage you to pick them up before they're gone. With that being said, it seems like every month WE is dropping another model that's on the same sort of level of quality as these. In fact, just this week they released, I forget the names of the models. I think it's called the Archaeozoic, which actually has a different type of lock on it. And they did also a model that was designed by Jason Guthrie. I think it's basically like a production version of one of his custom knives, and they both look really cool. I would have bought them immediately if I had funds, but I'm pretty sure by the time that I manage to sell something else and fund them, they'll be out of stock, or at least the variations, the versions that I find appealing will be out of stock. But that's how it goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned.